Next to that, I've got about 15 eggplants. And next to that is the tea garden. I mentioned that in a couple of videos. That is German chamomile. That is Thai basil. And then that is, I forget the name, but it's a type of calendula that's supposed to be a higher oil content, rather. So that's this bed. Super pleased with how that turned out. Next to that, I've got tomatoes. These are closely planted. They are red pear tomatoes, and I'm actually going to experiment with weeding around them. I don't know how successful that will be. I have not had great success in the past when I don't put the weed block around it, just because I have so much grass issues. But we're going to try it. I went ahead and marked them with a flag so I can tell what's where, and hopefully that will solve my issue. We'll see. If not, I'll know better next year and put the weed block around on the edge. I did leave a good 3-foot section of that as I had planned, so that if I need to do weed block next year, I can leave everything else in place and put in that 3-foot section of weed block fabric, do my standard spacing, and go from there. Welcome back. Been a crazy 2 days of planting. I didn't film any of it because honestly I was on a roll and wasn't going to stop to get all that stuff set up. So I'm going to show you today what I got done. I would say we're about 60-70% planted. A lot of cool stuff happening, a lot of kind of impromptu, spontaneous stuff that I've kind of changed as I went along. So I think kind of interesting stuff to tell you about. So peppers are still out. I will not put peppers in until probably about a week from now. I've got 2 nights coming up on the extended forecast that are down at 49 degrees, and that's, I think, going to be a little bit cool for them. So we're going to give them a week. Next to that, I have a broccoli tomato companion planting setup. These are homestead tomatoes, and then a mix of Sun King and Calabrese broccoli. Planted nice and close. I think they're going to do okay. I'm hoping that the broccoli maybe lasts a little bit longer than it usually does. I have terrible luck with it not bolting, so hoping that takes care of that. Next to that, so that I can keep a continuous line for my trellis, is more tomatoes. This is a combination of tomatoes and eggplant at the end. The tomato variety for this bed, if I recall, let's see. I don't recall, so let's check. German Johnson, old-time favorite. So, have good luck with them in the past. Nice, big, stocky plants. Next to that, I have zinnias. This is a giant mix. So it looks like I have maybe some lighter colors, maybe a burgundy, gorgeous pink already out there. Don't know if that's focusing, and some yellow. So kind of trying to break up the endless line of plants with some flowers. Some of it's just by virtue of what I have, and some of it's kind of planned. Next to that, I have some tomatoes. These are yellow plum tomatoes. Should be good for sauce making. And then I put a bunch of basil in front of this. So I have, between this area and the one to the right, I have 28 of my 32 basil plants that I did this year. So 6 yellow plum tomatoes. I've got Thai basil, sweet basil, Italian large leaf basil, and then a couple of my mammoth basil over here. We're supposed to get rain tonight, so I didn't plan to water anything. So it's looking a little bit rough, but I think it'll come back. In my past experience, I will go ahead and water the basil, fertilize it, and then trim it. And that tends to do really well in terms of getting the plants to kind of put their energy into producing more leaves and not looking so sad. So, moving on. We'll see. Next to that, I have what I thought was broccoli. It is cabbage. That is 50 cabbage plants in a 6 by, we'll say 15 area. Super dense spacing. Not all of them took off. I've got a few that just didn't do a whole lot, or I think are probably going to be gone. Some of this is actually from the wind. I came out today and the wind was lifting the fabric. So something like this where it's actually got tucked underneath the fabric. But we'll see. If they take off, great. If not, no loss. I have 10 of each variety here. 5 different varieties, and then I've got some kohlrabi on the upper end. These are ones that I planted and didn't thin. So I have probably 50 or 60 of each. Super dense. My mistake for not thinning them, but we'll see how that goes. Next to that, I have tomatillos. I have some snapdragons grown from seed. Super excited about them. I did a row of those. I'll show you in a minute also. Tomatillos, I need to start taking off the buds because I really don't want these to produce. Behind the greenhouse, this is actually the only spot I've got shade pretty much all day. I think I mentioned that in a previous video. But I did Swiss chard, I did bok choy, and in the center I did some spinach. I'm hoping these kind of take off. I'd love this to be kind of a cut and come again kind of setup. Not sure if that'll work, but we're going to hope that. Next to that, I've got Brussels sprouts, 17 Brussels sprouts plants. Just enough room to walk between that and the stakes. I may take that T-post out. I don't technically need it right now. That is going to be, that and the one I'm standing next to right now, will be the two north corners of the future rabbitry. But for now, might make sense to take that out just to give myself the ability to walk around that on both sides. But some clouds of the incoming storms. Looks super cool with the sunset. We had some good storms north of us. We got a little bit of rain today, not a whole lot, but looks like it's going to be some good stuff moving in from the west. I was a little hesitant to plant yesterday just because we were supposed to get hail and some high winds. We ended up not getting any of that. I think we're going to be okay this evening, but let me kind of plant. If nothing else, it looks super cool moving in as the clouds kind of push their way in from the west. So, all right, back to the garden. I did another line of tomatoes on the other side next to the cabbage. They look super sad right now, and that's kind of expected. These, for the most part, were bent as they grew. So you'll see there's a pretty good, almost a 90 degree. I did not thin them soon enough. So they really ended up taking on some weird shapes. I think they'll be okay once these get some light. Once they get some rain tonight, I think they'll just start growing obviously towards the sun and be fine. I did plant some marigolds next to them. And I have the cabbage. It's actually looking pretty good. I've got some weeding to do. I need to put some diatomaceous earth on this. Got a little bit of bug evidence, but overall, for something that's didn't look fantastic when I put it in the ground, I'm super happy. So, garlic is doing well. No scapes yet, but we're starting to get them. So that's always exciting. If you have any garlic scape recipes, let me know. I still have last year's in the freezer. I cut them up into like 1-inch chunks. And now I need to figure out what to do with them before I have this year's. So, we'll see. All of my spinach bolted, kind of to be expected. I don't think I'm going to save the seeds on this. I will probably just let it go. The rabbits are still eating it, so I'm giving them little bits and pieces. I probably am going to do this in carrots. This is about the only place I have that isn't completely sod-style weed overgrown and terrible. So I think I could probably do carrots in this area and do pretty well. So, on the list for sometime later this week. In the heat and humidity yesterday, I planted potatoes. Obviously, you can't see anything yet. I've got 40 potatoes in this section. This is going to be the path from the greenhouse next year once I get it moved down to the south side of the garden. For now, it's kind of an empty space. I'm contemplating doing some type of brick path. Not only I think would it look cool, but it would also be fun to learn how to do that. Next to it, I do have lettuce. It's finally starting to look nice. That is Merlot. I have some other mixed, I believe that's a mesclun mix. Got some potatoes over there, some more mesclun mix, and the nicest black-seeded Simpson that I've got. Looks really nice. So I'm gonna try and keep this protected. I may put some shade cloth on this and hope that it continues doing what it's supposed to do. Next to that, I have 50 tomato plants that I put in today. This is about a 20-25 foot bed. I've got 3 rows, plenty of space between them. I will be trellising these. My plan is to do T-posts on this end and the far end and put some wire between them. One of my goals this year is to try out some different types of trellising. I've not had great luck in the past. I've done wires, I've done strings, I've done fencing. Nothing has been great, so. But I did want to get these in. This is 2 rows of super sauce. That is a hybrid, I believe, from Burpee. I bought a bunch of those this year. I saw last year somebody had said online that they end up being a pound or 2 a piece. That's per tomato. So did lots of them. We do lots of tomato sauce, so I'd love to have something that I can use fewer and get more sauce. Then I have I forget what this is, a peach style tomato. And then I have a couple down here that are a Chernovic Yugoslavian. Stuff that I've grown in the past that we enjoyed. So that is a 6 foot by, we'll say probably 25, 30 foot, not quite 30 foot, and 50 tomatoes. So we'll see. Should be cool to see this grow up. Clouds are moving in, looks so cool. Might have to come out in another 30 minutes and watch this. Super cool to watch this come in. It's coming in from the west, and now I'm facing north. And this is a storm that is north of us, and it's kind of been developing all day, kind of pushing its way down. So, super cool. All right, so the last thing I got planted today is zucchini with some extras. I have a couple of ground cherries. I actually grew them from seed this year. Ended up with about a half dozen really nice plants. These are older seeds, so I was super excited that they germinated. So I've got 2 of those at the end. Hopefully they do okay. This is zucchini in the middle space. And then I have sunberries. I grew these last year. Loved them. Kind of annoying to pick because they're so small, but we ended up using them for jam, and they were fantastic. Next to that, I have a section of zucchini squash. I have golden zucchini, new variety I'm trying this year. I wanted a straight neck, so hopefully this will do well with that. So I've got 4 of those, 4 Genovese, and 4 more golden. Next to that, what is ultimately going to be the chicken run, or part of the chicken run rather, is another 30 potato plants. I did 40 in the other section I showed you a minute ago, and 30 right here. More just to kind of use up the space and get the soil a little bit nicer. We'll see how that works. Next to that, because it is so wet, I actually see my footprints as I step on the weed block, is going to be cucumbers. This is about 14 feet. Part of this bed in the future will be in the greenhouse. For this year, I decided I'm not even going to try and divide. I'm just going to let it be. So I'm going to plant my cucumbers there. I think that will be perfect. They can do whatever they want. They'll have more than enough moisture, and that should be great. Next to that is ultimately going to be the beans this year. I did bush beans last year, and we decided that they were a little bit difficult in terms of knowing when they were ready and harvesting. So the plan this year is to make this into trellises. This is a 6 foot wide section of weed block fabric. I will probably do 4 or 6 inch spacing on the holes, and then I think I'm going to try and do 3. I'm going to do one here on the 2nd line, 3rd line, and the 5th line. So that'll give me about, we'll say, 75 or so feet of trellised pole beans for the year, which would be awesome. The only thing left other than the peppers and some miscellaneous stuff where the meat birds are is this absolute monstrosity of a mess right here. This was a space that I did tomatoes in last year. I thought that I had torched stuff. I torched the grass and the weeds. I did not burn it down to where it's absolutely black. I just kind of left it as the torched version. It obviously did not work. It is a mess. I'm going to go ahead and leave this bed just because I don't think it's worth trying to pull it up. That's broccoli, kale. I do have some bok choy sprinkled in there. And I think I have some spinach, I believe. Some of the leaves are pointed, which I'm not sure about, but I believe that's spinach. I do have some cabbage that I put in here. The space between I'm going to torch. I'm going to go ahead and take it down to the dirt, torch the area around it, and see what we can do. Kind of disappointed that I didn't do that earlier, but it is what it is. Did make a cool discovery today, though. This was kind of the discard area last year for plants, and come to find out, we have a bunch of tomatoes that reseeded. So all of these, and there are probably a couple dozen of them. Got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I would say probably, we'll say 2 dozen. I got most of the garden planted. Super excited about that. I would say, we'll say 75%. I've got some sections over here. I still have rutabaga to put in. I still have some onions left. I have a flat that I started late of those. I still have a couple flats of tomatoes. They were ones that I started later. They look fantastic, so I'm not worried about that. And I still have to plant in the greenhouse. Greenhouse is hopefully tomorrow, weather permitting, going to be eviction day for the rabbits. They are all going to move out. They're going to go to the outside, and then I can take this side here where I actually have tomatoes growing. See if I can see one again. They're making progress. Accidentally stepped on one today, but everything else looks good. Too early, but I couldn't resist. Let it go. They look cool. So I've got herbs to put in here. I'm going to do some peppers in here. I'm going to do some more tomatoes in here. Probably do, in this 6-foot section here, do peppers and tomatoes alternated. So I could do 3 or 4 rows of that, just to see how it does. I mentioned in the last video that I'm trying to save the seeds from the leeks. So I've got 5 bags, and that's 7 plants. This one has 3 in it that hopefully will produce. The herbs are still doing good. I need to clean this up. It just hasn't happened because obviously planting season is kind of a rush. So excuse me. Anyway, other than that, making progress. Gonna try and get some squash put in here. I gotta feed these guys. They're hungry, but they're doing great. So anyway, and I will leave you with some pictures and video of the storms as they move in. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.